If you've got a question, the voices of resin are here. Oh, PlastChicks.
PlastChicks is an SPE sponsored podcast. Hi, you played this live today. I'm so excited.
Did, even though I'm still congested for my little big respiratory thing.
It was 10 out of 10. I love it.
I wanted to play for you since it's your last recording of the podcast before you go on maternity leave.
Yay.
Again, this is
baby number 4, but there will still be episodes due to the magic of pre-recording and Zoom. Thank God for that. Because I'm going to be not in a good way for a little bit. But it's okay, because we can have snacks and we can have margaritas again. So life will be, and a baby number 4 blessing, all that stuff too.
Yeah. Let me know. I'll come out for the christening.
Perfect.
We'll
margaritas in hand on the train. Thank you. That's all I need.
Taco Bell on the other hand.
Listen, you're acting like that's a joke, but you know that is everything I want in this world.
I know. Anyway, I am Mercedes Landazuri.
And I'm Lynzie Nebel.
And with our powers combined, we are PlastChicks. The voices of resin.
That's us. We're here. We are recording this lovely episode. And you can listen to it it's released the first Friday of every month. Or you can wait usually like a week or two. And then you can watch us on the YouTube version where you can see I'm rocking a very 90s outfit today and I'm kind of feeling the vibe. I feel very, very 90s. Just going back to my youth.
Maybe pull your hair into like the little bangs.
The baby braids or like the Baby Spice, like little clippies. I probably still have some of those around if I honestly looked hard enough.
I'm actually dressed like maybe what my mom dressed like in the 90s. So does that count?
I love it. Yes. I'm gonna take it as a yes.
Did we ever get to YouTube, the YouTube channel, if you're listening on one of the Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, you can check out the video recording of this on SPE's YouTube channel for SPE. I believe that's the handle.
Yep. Or just find us on any social media at PlastChicks. PlastChicks. No I in between Plast and Chicks. I know you want to put it there. Don't.
And you're welcome to put it there. You'd still find us that way.
Eventually.
And we respond to it.
We do respond to it.
We love it. I love an extra syllable.
You know what? It makes it more exciting. And we can pin to more songs that way.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a very special guest with us today. If you know him, his voice is going to sound a little bit different. But he's just coming back from some illness as well. But this is one of my favorite young people in the plastics industry. His name is Nathan Rader-Edkin. He is the Plastics Innovation and Research Center Program Manager at Pennsylvania College of Technology. And he was just named a Plastics News Rising Star for 2023.
Makes sense.
Congratulations, Nate. Welcome to the club, the Rising Stars Club. And thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to be among the top 35 this year, but also just gotta get in that club with you, Lynzie and Logan. So it's just
that is true. We are a cool club.
So do you have that relationship with Logan that I have with Lynzie, where you're trying to beat him with his accolades?
Oh yes. Yeah, of course.
I love it.
The more, the better for me. The less is better for him.
Maybe you guys can start a podcast like Plast Bros.
Or Plasty Bros.
With something, We did start a company, so that's good.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
So let's go off the rails already.
Asking what you were talking about beforehand, and this was not mentioned.
No. Well, it's in the works. We have everything, but we're revamping our strategic.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah. So it's called Plastic Postings. Basically, we're a headhunter for anybody in the plastic industry, but also we're kind of trying to I can't give away too much, but we're trying to innovate the marketing of young plastic engineers or other engineers, I guess, to get their resumes out there, let companies know that, you know, people are there. It's kind of like a social media platform, but for resumes and companies and job seekers and stuff like that. But so if you go to our website, it's currently under development, but it'll be up and running here shortly.
And what's the website?
PlasticPostings.com. PlastChicks postings.
Plastic.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we'll add it in the show notes, and by the time this airs, which we said this should be the July episode, maybe the website will be up and running. And if
Yeah,
not,
hopefully.
let's be honest, who listens to podcasts the day they come out? It's not me. I'm always far behind. So I am always, whenever someone's like, it's under works, I'm like, yeah, by the time I'm listening to it, it's probably already ready.
It's a nice little side hustle for us right now. So while we're working our full-time jobs, this is kind of what we moonlight off of. So it'll be good. Hopefully it will bear some fruit here, but that's not for a long time down the road, hopefully. So who knows? Maybe it'll be a next big thing. I don't know.
And what I love about it is, you know, just what you've said so far, and it is so both you and Logan, that it's not just going to bear fruit for you guys, but bear fruit for so many others, it sounds like.
Yeah, and that's what we're kind of trying to get all those engineers, plastic people specifically coming out who, you know, need a career change or don't have anywhere to start or want a job in their dream country, state, environment. Hopefully we'll be able to connect with the right company eventually. So
yeah. And speaking of career change, right? I remember finding this out about you maybe a few months after we met. We met through SPE, right? Because you were involved in the Next Gen Advisory Board. And I found out that you hadn't started out your degree at Penn College in plastics. You got your associates from Penn College in 2015 in accounting and business management. Is that right?
Yep.
And then you worked for a couple of years. What inspired you to go back to school and enroll in Penn College's plastics? And
besides the coolness of plastics.
Oh man. Well, you took away my number one, the coolest.
Well, that's what I figured.
No, but I don't know. I was just kind of working out, trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. And I mean, I was not really making a lot of money or anything like that in my, you know, tenor between my gaps in my school years. So I was trying to look for something new, fun. And I always want like to work with my hands and math and science and stuff like that. And I became good friends with Logan Tate, obviously, who graduated from Lock Haven University with a physics degree. You know, he came out, couldn't find a job, and he looked at the plastics program here at Penn College, and he was like, wow, this stuff's really cool. No, not a lot of people do it. And the plus side, there's a bunch of jobs, really good starting entry level salaries. And plastic materials, let's face it, it's only been here for 100 years, give or take a couple years here and there. And there's a lot of stuff that we don't know how to do with it or to do anything with materials. So it was just a really cool space at that time and still is. So he kind of convinced me to like, hey, just come give it the old college try, right? And I took my first semester and immediately fell in love with it. I mean, I wasn't the greatest student, wasn't very actively involved in clubs and stuff when I first went to college. The second time around, I really just dived right in. NGAB, SPE, president of the student chapter of SPE there for my senior year, and just really bared the fruits of being involved on campus, organizations, and SPE being the primary one that I was involved with. And I don't know if I'd be where I'm at today if I didn't do that the second time around. So to answer your question, it was just really a combination of not knowing where to go and kind of using my friend's advice to guide me. And then I just fell in love with it. And here we are.
Well, shout out to Logan, because thank God that was his advice and not something else.
Right.
You never know what friend advice could take you down.
Don't follow all Logan's advice though. Sometimes it's not the greatest.
Oh, I'm flashing back to a story that you told me of a late night.
We don't have very many late night sessions, do we?
No, not
Yeah. So very so I love that, I see that you're wearing the Penn State gear today. For those who don't know, because I only talk about Behrend, Penn College is another sister school within the Penn State university structure,
Umbrella,
whatever you want to call it. Yeah, umbrella. There we go. So I always do love a fellow Penn Stater. And back in the day, a long time ago, your school would drive out, depending on where Antec was, to Penn State Behrend, and then we would all take a bus to wherever Antec was, which was horrible because it was filled with people. Like, it was probably going to be a gross bus ride as it was, but then it was typically like, how many people do those buses fill? Like 60 people?
Yeah.
It was probably like 64 people, and just the way back was just always awful. Long. Everybody was a little too involved at their time in Antec. Let's just go with that phrasing. But
bus smell like a distillery, or what are you trying to say?
Something along those lines. But it was nice that our two colleges always did have that kind of friendly relationship where we share resources, we share information, and your school does a lot of the same things that Behrend does. You have the program covers the extrusion, the injection molding, blow molding, roto film. You guys do thermoforming really well. That's not something at Behrend we really do that well. We have like one thermoformer, and I think it has been there since before I was in school. But we always make the Nittany Lion mask for open houses. So, that's a really great coverage of the different processes. So you had your internships. You were able to kind of use some of those processes and do different types of internships. Can you kind of talk about why injection molding is the best in molding?
Yeah, so I did my internships in extrusion, which was profile, then blown film for a pretty large company. And I don't know, I always leaned towards injection because I knew those facilities weren't hot.
It's the right answer, but
yeah. And I knew I wanted to go into medical because I like high tolerance, high volume, really fast cycle times, and I like to help people. So I got the taste for injection molding at an R&D scale in Middletown with TE Connectivity. My mentee or mentor, I guess, was Will Moyer, who was a graduate of the program, but he really kind of took me underneath his wing and showed me how to PM molds, even though, it was an R&D facility. So we had one mold of PM, right? One little 110 ton Sumo Tumo. So, but we were trialing a whole bunch of different materials for TE and really testing all their, all their stuff on the TDS, whatever we could do to strain it to see what the minute max processing capabilities were. So that kind of introduced me to the R&D world, but also the manufacturing world too, because I got to visit a couple production plants for TE and just saw the mass amount of robotics and presses and everything. I was like, yep, that's what I want to do when I graduate. So as soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm finding a job that's medical and injection. So that's how I ended up in Broken Bow, Nebraska.
Of course, like you do.
Yeah. So I knew going into it, it was a small town and a leap of faith, but I think it was one of the best things I could do because it just made my learning curve not even a curve. It was just learning straight line. And I learned so much about not just injection molding, but everything else that comes in an injection molding, you know, managing a project, budgeting for a project, and ultimately working with the people that, you know, help you out with validations and day-to-day operations.
And I will say, you know, I've worked with BD in the past through several of my jobs. And one piece of advice I received when I was first like an intern somewhere was go to a large company, because they will train you. Yeah, they'll train you your way, but they will also pay for any training or make sure you have the proper training. And I feel like a company like BD, you know, everything they do is very by the book and very structured, and they have their very specific way, but it's the way that a lot of these mid to smaller companies base their systems off of. So to start off at a company like BD, I feel like that really gives you that leg up on like, okay, this is what the industry standard is, let's do it. And then if we need to back it off, that's where we can go. But yeah, that's definitely the right first step, I think.
And you started there like right after you graduated, right?
Yeah, so I graduated in December of 2019, and my first day was January 13th of 2020. So I moved, I think I graduated December 15th. So with less than a month, I was across country with my partner at the time, and with a little 6-month-old baby. So it was a extraordinary drive, I'll say the least. But it was a really good experience too. For my family at the time, it was really, really good to be in a town of 2,000 with the closest Walmart 60 miles away. That's country living, right? more cows. I think there was 100 times more cows than there were people in a 25-mile radius.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very eye-opening experience, but a really, really good one.
I didn't realize there were so many cows or so few people there.
Yeah, the second, I think, and someone can fact check me, but I'm probably wrong. But I think it's the second.
Fine, we're gonna go with
it. The second largest cattle feedstock or something like that in the nation. So 350,000 cows, I think, are there getting fed before they, you know, get shipped off to be beef.
So your daughter was born like you said 5 months before you graduated or something like that?
Oh yeah, 5 months. So she was actually born during my internship at TE. On the last day of my internship, it was supposed to be the last day, she was
had to leave.
Yeah, I had to leave. I was like, sorry.
Wow.
Born, so I
Been great working here.
So obviously Lynzie and I are both parents, but we, you know, it's a different experience, I think, juggling being a brand new parent while just starting in a new career. Can you talk about that, what that was like?
Really, really rough, to be honest. So yeah, like I said, we moved out there and we didn't have any support system out there. Logan and his now fiance were out there. But that was really all we had. So we had to juggle it and grow up really, really quick. But I think we learned the best that way, how to parent and do stuff ourselves, because we both graduated and moved out of our parents' house and then just were on our own by ourselves. So yeah, I mean, juggling the late nights and early mornings of waking up for work, finding daycares like that, in a new town, new doctors, really hard to juggle all that. But at the same time, that's part of putting down your roots for however long you were going to be there for. So I think we did it really efficient and effective. And obviously nothing's wrong yet, because she's really, really smart and starts kindergarten next year. So we didn't mess her up too bad in the important years. So that's all that matters.
Well done. And has she visited Penn College? Has she worked at injection molder yet?
I was gonna say, is she aware that injection molding is the best molding?
Oh yeah, she knows. She knows. So the really cool part about my job is Penn College has a daycare on campus for actually a daycare and a preschool. So in the summertime, it turns into a daycare. During semester, it turns into a really, really good preschool that's accredited by the state even. So it's one of the benefits of working in academia. So same hours as me. So yeah, and I get to sometimes I'll walk down campus, see her, and take her, and I'll take her and say, "You want to see some parts being molded?" And I'll take her to see all the equipment. So hopefully, I'm embedding that plastic engineering into
Listen,
that young mind of hers.
We need to. I need to get my own kids PlastChicks swag. We need to get her some PlastChicks swag.
Oh yeah, t-shirts.
We will indoctrinate. We are totally on board with that.
Hey, I think I have some stickers around still from Detroit and Tech.
I love that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Skidmore, and I'd like to share with you SPE's Certificate in Leadership. Have you heard about the program? In this program, participants learn about essential leadership and management principles, such as organizational culture, financial intelligence, strategic planning, innovation, and more. But they not only learn the topics, they learn how to apply strategies and tools to their team, their department, and organization. I invite you to visit forspe.org to learn more about the certificate in leadership and to apply for an upcoming cohort.
Yeah, and I love, I love that your daughter gets to see what you're doing and see, how you are making a difference in the industry. And like, to me, that's the most important part. Like, when I'm working, like, I want my kids to know, like, I'm doing something that matters. Like, let's all appreciate that. Or
Right.
at least I feel like I'm doing something that matters. Let's not get into the specifics. And, I think especially with, really young girls, it's so important for them to see that as an option or see themselves as an engineer or someone in, the industry from a really young time. So it's never brought up as like, oh, well, that's a boy's job. You go do that boy's job. It can really, really kind of give them the tough skin to get through some of what can, happen in an industry that's currently male dominated.
Right, exactly. And that's one thing I always try to not preach to my daughter, but try to instill in her is, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't be independent and strong and hard-headed sometimes. You can do all that stuff. Like, I embrace it and I encourage it, and I know her mom does too. So I think she'll be just fine. And if she ends up in an injection molding somewhere, she knows who to call to, beat someone up if they have to. Not me, Logan. They're on.
Okay,
So tell us how you came back to academia. You said in the Plastics News article for Rising Stars, you said it was one of your greatest achievements or your greatest achievement coming back to your alma mater. Tell us how you made that choice to come back to academia and head up the that program.
Yeah, so I was working with BD. I was a senior mold. I got promoted and I was a senior molding engineer. A little bit of new product development, a little bit of they'd fly me all around the country or all around the world in some cases to help plants validate or troubleshoot or whatever was the issue during that time, because it was during COVID. So there was a lot of obviously influx of machines and molds coming online for all these different COVID products. So like, I don't want to talk bad, but I got burnt out myself, just traveling. I was home 4 days a month and I couldn't see my daughter like I wanted to. So I started exploring new opportunities, less travel, more closer to home with her. And this job opportunity came up at Penn College, and I always saw myself coming back to academia, whether to be teach or in a position like I am now, but I didn't realize it'd be 3 years out of college, right? So I kind of landed my retirement job a little early, but it's been a dream to come back to my hometown and my alma mater to kind of have my hands dug deep, not into just the workforce side, but also really assist on the academia side too. So I see myself here for a long time, and it's just been a really pleasure working in academia. A little bit of a pay cut, but it's totally worth it in my eyes.
Well, and to me, I think the old rule to take a job at Barron was you had to have 5 or 10 years industry experience. I think that still stands, but I don't want to be quoted on that. How do you think, what do you think the benefit is of spending that time in industry before you come back and actually go to teach people what you've learned?
Yeah, I think it's a really crucial part. I think you have to, and I think the right person has to be from the manufacturing floor up, because you can be a really good engineer, but if you don't push the buttons on the machine and know what they do and understand, even in any plastic manufacturing process, what you're doing, what button that do I push to make this change, or what's it affect you on the other side, is really important to understand. And it's not something that you just can open a textbook to and say, yep, if I change my cooling time or I pack time, my part's going to do this, right? It's just not something that you can learn it in school. You can do it in school, but doing it for a reason at a company that your sole purpose there is to help them make money is way different. And having that pressure applied to you and firefight on a daily basis, interact with the people that have been there for 20, 25 years, learn from them, just be that sponge and keep absorbing and learning. There's so many different ways to do it, but as long as you're getting to the same goal, then that way is fine, whatever the way that person or the other person wants to do it. So to answer your question, I think if you don't have industry experience, in my opinion, then it's really hard to teach that to future engineers. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. That's just my own personal opinion, but yeah, definitely crucial for a position like me to be in.
Yeah, I think I totally agree, because I think until you're standing in front of a press going, I changed the back pressure, why isn't this changing? And then you realize, whatever else you did or whatever else is not happening, or there's an issue with the mold or your gates, whatever can crop up, and it's not I do A and outcomes B. It's so much more than that. And until you felt that frustration or that sweat that hits right on the back of your neck, it's hard to convey that to someone else.
Oh, for sure. I completely agree. And I've been there where I've been drenched in my medical smock, and it's just like, oh man.
I think I've actually been standing at a press with a BD representative going, I had it running fine this morning.
That's amazing.
And hopefully that person was like, yep, this happens all the time.
It's lunchtime. Let's go get lunch. We'll circle back.
Tell us about the Plastics Innovation and Research Center and your role there.
Yeah, so the Plastics Innovation Resource Center was developed at Penn College for companies to come in for anything from, we can be consultants for your processes, or we can bring in outside consultants for your troubleshooting process, run simple mechanical testing. So you supply some tensile bars or flex bars, we can do, or material, even DSC testing, just a whole slew of anything that you have on TDS, we can probably test for, all the way up to big material, raw material trials for big petrochemical companies, developing a new material for any of the processes, where we can, compound some additive into some virgin resin and then injection mold it into our ASTM mold and then mechanical test it. Or if you want to do R&D and you want to thermoform a Star Wars helmet or something like that, you just need one part, we can take that work on and do anything from making it a certain color or CNC it out, or pretty much anything manufacturing or process related, all the way up to R&D and testing capabilities the PIRC can do, as well as customized trainings. We have 2 apprenticeship programs that are registered with the state that we run and are currently running. And then we also have our annual hands-on workshops that companies send numerous people to, or just one person, just to learn more about processing. Anything really is covered in those workshops. So
yeah, I got to attend the several years ago when I was newer to the industry. I got to attend the color science workshop there. It was phenomenal. It was I think now it's 2.5 days, and it also covers weathering.
Yep. I'm going to butcher his last name. Bruce Mullen.
Bruce Mulholland, yeah.
Mulholland, yeah. I knew I was going to butcher it. He was just here
Current
2 weeks ago.
SP president.
Yep.
Yeah.
And don't worry, he was pushing CAD Retech out to the attendees, so I was making sure they knew about it. Yeah, we just had that workshop 2 weeks ago, and Bruce did a phenomenal job at it. I think 15 people were at it, and really, really good evaluations from that course. Bruce does a stellar job. It takes Jack Latson, who used to do it, and Bruce has taken the reins now for a couple of years and just kept on with it. So industry experts like that is who we not really subcontract. It's kind of a partnership. We partner with those industry experts. Like next week will be our extrusion workshop that actually sold out at 50 seats. And Chris Rolandahl comes in to do the lecture portion. Then Dr. Kirk Tanner does the hands-on portion.
And you had and Jeremy Dworshak, another injection molding SPE member who's all in on team injection molding.
Oh, yeah.
He does courses, and he took it over from the great Tim Weston.
Yeah. He's an instructor for one of our apprenticeship cohorts. And I tell you what, I hope Jeremy's listening. He's just been a phenomenal instructor.
He probably is, because he's so nice. He probably does listen to this.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you connected us to him, because he's been a nail in a haystack. He's been perfect, and we love having him here and love having him teach for us.
Yeah,
that's
Jeremy
It's a
is the
pleasure to get
best.
to know him too. He's just such a nice person.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Nate and I did have this conversation that if Jeremy is ever mad at us, we would be disappointed in ourselves. Like, he would just have to give us a look, and we'd be like, I am so sorry. What can I give you to make this better?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in what ways has Penn College's plastics program changed since you attended?
Yeah, so it's changed kind of a lot, actually. So with everything happening in the plastics world, I'm sorry if you're following plastics news, all the treaties that are being talked about, sustainability. We're trying to, so right now the major is called Plastic and Polymer Engineering Technologies. We're actually going through a name change and changing it to Polymer Engineering Technologies. So PET.
Which I know is very tricky to do in the Penn State system.
Yeah, and especially for ABET, because Penn State, Barron, and we are Penn College is accredited, so it's very hard to change a name. But we're taking that on to take the plastics name out of it, because our enrollment for this major has declined, and we can attest some of that to COVID. But it's like we need more uncles at the picnic saying, "You need to go into this plastic engineering stuff. It's too good. It's out there. Grab it." And we're just not getting the uncles that we need. So I think it's a common problem for all universities right now, because of just the dynamic I feel shifting. Not as many high school students are going to college. So we're hopeful that will, spark a little bit better. And then it's also changed. We got a couple new pieces of equipment. We've gotten a roll fed thermoformer for thin gauge. So we make little berry containers and can run pretty fast. Angle donated. We bought a new angle machine with the help of some grant funding. And then Just some cultural change, some DEI change, kind of happening throughout the college as well. So it's changed a lot, but I think it's all for the better. I don't think there's really a negative thing that has changed since I graduated. If anything, I feel like the programs have, even though it's gotten smaller, I feel like it's just really provided a lot of different opportunities for everybody.
Mhm. Absolutely. And what are there any new concepts or innovations, ideas that you have that you hope to implement to the program, to the workforce development?
Yeah, so workforce development just got a $200,000 grant from the Department of Economic and Community Development. I think I got that right. It's a really big acronym, but basically that grant is focused on circular economy, recyclability, sustainability. So we're currently looking for a director of the PIRC, which would head all that stuff, and then kind of like a program specialist to kind of go out to companies and see what they need from a workforce side to better understand whether we need to create a recycling center of excellence here at the college, or whether they need, mechanics to work on their machinery. We just don't know right now. So,
and I'm not sure
can,
they know that well right now either.
No. And we've been able to partner with a great company called Encina. They're building a $1.1 billion recycling plant right here, probably 40 minutes away from the college. And I don't know how much you want me to get into this, but Encina basically takes recycled polymers or plastic material and break it down to their monomer feedstock. So it's a what do I want to say here? It's a system that they fully proved out, and they're just going to scale up. So we're very excited to partner with them and see what kind of things we can offer them to be successful, but also what they can offer us to help them grow that workforce and grow their technology and things like that for the greater good of not just the plastics industry, but the whole earth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, and one thing too, I'm curious, just as like kind of, I wanted to touch on this before, but talking about how you got into your first job like right after you graduated, and that's something that I remember talking to several other PCT students who were about to graduate. Everybody had jobs lined up. People were turning down jobs, which was very different from my background in humanities. Was not the case. It was like everybody was graduating, we had nowhere to go. Is that still the case? I mean, you guys had a really high graduation to employment rate.
Yeah, and I think you can say that for all. I think there's 7 now ABET accredited schools. I think if any school has a plastics program, whether it be accredited or not, that's the key note right there. Is all these students who are not getting jobs, they're either going to get their master's degrees, or they're simply taking a year off to explore other cultures or whatever that may be. But basically, if you don't have a job by the time you graduate, it's very rare to find. That could be from a whole slew of reasons, but the jobs are out there, and that's why I keep saying it's crazy to me that all these schools have these great plastics programs, but we're not producing enough plastic engineers to fulfill the job need. And that's something I'm very passionate about. And, I want to get people into, I'm not even biased against Penn College. I want, if you are closer to Barron, if you're closer to, Wisconsin,
and then stop there.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania stuff.
I don't care. I just want the industry to be full of plastic engineers. And I feel like it hasn't been since I've been in school, which I started in 2017. And that was happening before I even knew about plastics. So I feel like the job demand's been there for years now, and it's just worse, unfortunately.
I mean, I will say I graduated in 2008 at the height of the recession, basically. And everyone in my class did get a job, with the exception of one person, but I think they were kind of being picky about location.
Mhm.
And even after we all got jobs, I think probably 3 to 4 people were laid off. And had I taken the one job over the other, I would have been laid off too. But all of them were able to find jobs within probably weeks, if not
Yeah.
months. Like it wasn't a long-term thing.
And that was during recession, right?
Right.
And it's just like, I like to say our jobs are recession proof because I know they are, but they're not. But at the same time, it's just like the jobs you have are just such good jobs in the plastic industry, whether you be on the floor or not. It's just good to be around. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I was just
No, I was just going to say it's a something that I would like to solve, but unfortunately, I think it's going to have to take a few minds to solve it and figure it out.
right. But I love the approach that Penn College is taking with these workshops and the workforce development programs, because people like me who didn't come from, a plastics engineering background can go and get this really rich education or like crash course that helps them out. I mean, I'm still referring back to my book back when Jack Ladson was teaching that course. I still every once in a while, and I always give it to new people in the lab as well. But
Yeah.
I think we're about out of time for today. I know we could talk
Yeah.
for many more
Yeah.
years, and it was good catching up with you. But Nathan Rader-Edkin, thank you so much for joining us today. And congratulations again on Rising Stars, and
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see what you do next.
Yeah,
Way to
yeah.
be-
I'm
way to be
anytime
awesome.
have me back. Anytime have me back, I'll be glad.
Well, we'll have the next episode will be Logan.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And I do want to say to all the viewers, if you need any information or want to know about any of the plastic programs here at Penn College or Penn State Barron, www.pct.edu. You can find everything there under business and industry, or www.psu.edu.
And we'll get it posted in the show notes as well, so that way, easy click.
Yep, perfect.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.